Business Brain, the show for entrepreneurs, episode 516 for Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take a few topics, we dissect them, we cogitate on them, we discuss them, so that every single one of us, me, him, you, all of us, get to tune our business brains together every single episode. Sponsors for this episode include Shopify.com/businessbrain, where you can sign up for a $1 per month trial, and Miro.com/podcast, where you get your first 3 Miro boards for free. We'll talk more about them in a little bit. For now, back here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And still here out in Lafayette, California, I'm Shannon Jean. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Yeah, I was out at CES. We'll talk about that, I think, on Friday's episode. But I'm back
here. That's awesome.
Man. Yeah,
that's good. That's good.
How was your week?
It was good. It was, it's interesting when we pre-record and I miss a week. It sometimes it's liberating, but other times I find myself kind of falling out of the routine of, I got to talk about this. I got to talk about, picking up topics, especially that I want to talk about. So, but I did have something come up this morning that I definitely wanted to chat about before we jump into the main meat.
The meat of the episode, which is made up of cockroaches and pig's blood. So
cockroaches and pig's blood today, which is going to be fascinating. It is relevant.
It is. It's
excuse me. So today I made one of the last tuition payments to my son's college. I have 2 kids. My daughter's finished up. She went to school back in Manhattan, in Marymount, Manhattan.
There you go.
So I'm thinking of points. That's where that comment came in. And then my kids. So when my kids went to go to school, I had them fill out a Google sheet and list the schools they wanted to go to, the cost associated with housing, tuition, the whole 9 yards. And I wanted them to
did exactly the same thing. This is you and I never talked about this. This is fascinating.
No. Yeah. And I wanted them to pitch the ROI on each school because I'm a huge ROI guy. What are we getting out of that? How long is that going to, what's the value in everything we spend $1 on? And one of the things that came about in that exercise, which I did not know before my kids went to college, was that which schools would allow you to pay your tuition with a credit card. And not only that, but which schools allowed you to pay with a credit card without any fees.
Right. Because that was going to be my question, because almost every school that my kids looked at would let you pay with a credit card, but there was a 3.5% fee or something like that.
Not worth it, right?
No, it didn't used to be that way. Everybody just took credit cards, but that's now. Right. So did you find schools that don't charge a fee?
Yeah, my daughter's school, which is is like $70,000 a year, some ridiculous amount. The first 2 years, credit cards, no fees, no problem. It was fantastic. And so we just get the 3rd year when she became a junior, that's when they started hitting the fee. So we couldn't do that. My son's school, which is not quite as expensive at UNR, they've never charged a fee.
Okay, so they just have they have yet to adopt that practice.
Someone is going to drill down eventually and say, "Hey guys, you're paying thousands of extras in fees, and you don't have to." But in the meantime, it's allowed me to rack up hundreds of thousands of points. Starwood points or Marriott points, wherever you want to use them. We like to travel, and we travel in a fashion that we would not pay for if we were paying cash.
Yep.
Fly first class or business. And we like to stay at hotels that we otherwise would not stay at.
You wouldn't pay cash for those hotels?
No, the rooms are not worth it. We're not in the room that much because we're out running around, but it is nice to go back to a huge room and get all these.
The Marriott suites are wonderful as long as you're not paying cash for them.
Yeah, right. And the concierge stuff is terrific too that comes along with it. So that's just, and I posted that up on Twitter today. It's like, hey, this is something to think about when you have these high dollar purchases. I did the same with our FedEx and UPS bills. At one time, we were paying about $250,000 a month in shipping invoices.
Okay. Yeah.
And the way I got the way I would award those accounts, because FedEx, UPS, they would fight and basically match each other.
Sure.
And just became a service. What was service is better, and they're about the same. So I just say, well, if you can take my credit card, I'll give you the business.
You win. Yeah.
They win, and they would win. And we would switch every year, every 2 years. They would kind of fight and do a little extra, but they always had to take our credit cards. So it allowed us to rack up millions and millions of points that, I sent my mom and 3 of her friends to Europe, first class, everything taken care of. And those are wonderful parts of being able to live a charmed life that you otherwise wouldn't pay for. It's pre-tax benefit. The IRS hasn't figured out a way to
I know
yet.
That's coming too.
Of course. So they don't listen to this show, fortunately. So, anyway, I just wanted to point out, you always have to look for opportunities to enhance your life. And when you've got a business and you've got some credit cards we've talked about, if you just go up to businessbrain.show, you can search for credit cards or affinity points. We've done.
I believe our first publicly released episode, which I think was episode 2 or 3. I don't think anybody ever heard episode 1, but I'm pretty sure we talked about the benefits of credit card points on our, because it's something you and I have always bonded over. So
it's just a game changer. Lots of people say it's not worth it, but if you're managing,
I disagree.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you have the cash flow to pay it off every month, and that's actually you're go and listen to inter statement payments are the key, right? Because you're not going to have $100,000 on your Amex, but if you pay it off every day, you can get that and keep going and going and going until all of a sudden you get somebody calls you that says, "Hey, I'm your rep from Amex.
Yeah, I'm your personal rep." Yeah,
and that's awesome. You're like, "Oh, great! You want to be my rep, and I'm going to help you." And so look into that. You've got kids and they're working on that. Add it to the spreadsheet that you get them to fill out.
All right, look. It's really easy to lose track of the big picture when you're like stuck in the weeds and opening a new window for every detail that you're trying to manage, right? With our sponsor, Miro, you can bring everything and everyone together in one place. You can consolidate different points of view and increase team collaboration all on one centralized board with Miro. Miro brings a lot of things together in one spot, right? So you have an online whiteboard, a mind mapping tool, a space to just jot down ideas and really just brain dump individually and then also collectively. So we're here at the beginning of the year. One of the things we like to do is, telling the story of our business. And it's good to look back at what happened last year as we're planning for this year. And using Miro to do something like a retrospective for your business to really kind of dissect what happened in the previous year, you can pull all of these things together. And then when you do that, you start to see some trends, you start to see some patterns, and you've got multiple sets of eyes looking at this all at the same time, but different ways. And then next year, when you go and do this same thing, you've got your Miro board from this year to look at, reflect against, right? This is the kind of thing that can really make a difference in seeing the big picture for your business. Of course, you can also use Miro to get into the nitty gritty, like, product planning and road mapping and all of that can all be right here as well. You are going to love this. You got to check it out. Find simplicity in your most complex projects with Miro. Your first 3 Miro boards are free when you sign up today at Miro.com/podcast. That's right. 3 free boards at Miro.com/podcast. And our thanks to Miro for sponsoring this episode. Next up are our friends and our sponsor at Shopify. It's true. Shopify makes life so easy to just get your stuff online for sale right away. I love to tell the story about how we had this business going and we decided we needed to have merchandise that we could sell, hats and mugs and t-shirts and things like that. And we had a meeting one morning where we talked about this and it was decided we were going to do it. And it was obvious that I was in charge of making this happen for this particular venture. And I really didn't have an idea as to what to do. By the end of that day, we had made our first sale on Shopify. And that's because Shopify makes it so easy. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the I didn't even know we were going to be selling things today stage to the we just took our millionth order stage, right? Shopify's there to help you grow. So it doesn't matter whether you're selling merch or shipping supplies or even promoting productivity programs, right? Hey, Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS, wherever and whatever you're selling. Shopify's got you covered, because businesses that grow with Shopify. So sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/businessbrain, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/businessbrain now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/businessbrain. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. All right, Shannon, we promised everybody that we were going to talk about cockroaches and pig's blood. Why is that relevant to us today, though?
So we got a listener email from Robert, and the title was "The Dark Side of eBay." And if you'd listened to the show at all, I've always had one or more businesses on eBay, and eBay's always a great place to A/B test, and I love it. I've done a lot of work with them, done consulting. It's just a great platform, and generally speaking, the people are amazing. Especially today, this is a discussion about a bunch of previous employees and the previous CEO.
Got it. Okay.
And there's if you're in the marketplace business, there is a website and a newsletter called eCommerceBytes. They've been around forever. And they are, especially, eBay went through a time that they were not very, well, they didn't appreciate sellers. Let's say that the customer,
they were more focused on the people spending the money than the people providing the services that people were spending the money for.
Yeah, correct. And it took a long time for them to kind of get over that, and now it kind of shifted dramatically, and they do some great stuff, and I highly recommend get involved with their team. But they had a CEO at the time that in a group of people that took offense to some criticisms that the husband and wife team that published eCommerceBytes had published in their newsletter, everything. And so according to this that's come out, eBay just paid a $3 million fine for the way they handled this, and a couple of people went to prison for what they did to this couple, and it was a massive threat and harassment campaign. Yeah, we'll link it in the show notes at businessbrain.show. And where I'm going with this, I want to describe it a little bit more because it's fascinating. But how do you keep your employees from partaking
from hitting the microphone while they're talking?
Yeah, that's it. Hey, it's only been 9 years. I'm just learning here.
That's right.
But the CEO, Devin Wenig, I think is his last name, he made the comment and told his team, we need to crush these people. And whether that was an offhand remark or a marching orders that literally we need to destroy them, the team and the folks, they took it to heart, and they really started harassing these people, mailing them things like live cockroaches, live spiders, masks covered with pig blood.
And when did this happen?
So back in 2020, let's see, what is it?
It looks like 2019.
2019.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking. Okay.
Devin Wenig.
So it wasn't that long ago. I mean, I realized the people that did this and the CEO that sort of, I don't want to say, I don't know whether I should say he allowed it to happen, but the CEO under whom this happened is no longer there.
And I've met this guy, and he was
fascinating.
I spoke at a conference with the top 500 eBay executives or whatever back then, and Devin's a very capable guy. He helped turn things around at eBay, but they took things personal. They were commenting on the CEO's salary when eBay was going through a tough time, and so they just it was a group of people in their security department apparently that really just tried to destroy these people. And
wow.
Yeah. So my question is, number one,
What a weird thing for a company to do.
Dude, who would you think?
I've been I understand the impulse, right? Like we are heading into political season, which means my phone, and I'm sure your phone, and I don't just mean you, Shannon, I mean everybody who's listening. Our phones are being inundated with spam texts from political candidates, and I mark each one of them. I report as spam or whatever. Doesn't matter whether it's somebody I would even consider voting for or not. I just I do it, but it doesn't work, right? And so I have thought, these are unsolicited political messages. Wouldn't it be great to respond with something terribly offensive in an unsolicited way? And part of me says, oh yeah, that's the way to get them. But the other part of me is if I do that, I'm liable for what I send to people. I'm responsible. Whether I'm liable or not is up to the courts to decide. But certainly I am responsible, especially if I know there are other humans on the end of this. So I have not. I just hit the report and block button and I move on with my life.
Smart.
But I get the impulse to go nuts. But you can't act on that, especially when you're a company. You can't act on it when you're just Dave and his phone. You especially can't act on it when you're a company.
Publicly traded company.
Even if it's not. But yes, that doesn't help matters. Yeah.
I kind of, and lately, I've been really kind of leaning into this thesis that all business problems are leadership failures on some level.
Oh.
And I'm going to keep pushing that because I want to be able to defend it better than I can right now. But I've really started to think about it. We talk about hiring and firing and how it's a failure of management.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. And certainly as the leader of a company of any size, yes, you get frustrated. Yes, you get upset, but you set the tone. If you're even in a joking way, ridiculing your customers or talking bad about them or talking smack to your employees about them, your employees, that frames how they view your clients and your customers or people in this case that were just outside review, independent folks, writing about your business. So while you may think that comment is flippant and, funny or something like that, it gets internalized. And
for sure. I had an employee that could have done very, very well here. And on their first day, we were on a call with a vendor that we were thinking about working with, and I made a comment to this vendor because their pricing was just absurd. And I said something, and I'm going to leave the details out of this because I don't want to out this particular employee because they are a fantastic employee. But it was not appropriate. But I set the tone for how we do things here because they were on that call with me. And that defined how things were to the point where it didn't work out because this person was wound up being too rough around the edges. But I know that it wasn't their fault. It was my fault for setting that tone on day one. And and
that happens. So that's really the takeaway here is think about your words, your actions as a leader, whether it's you or your managers, your VPs, your supervisors, however your structure's set up. The way you speak about your customers, and it's super important, very impactful, and obviously this is an extreme case, but that's why I wanted to bring it up because, look out, it went down this road where people just went nuts with it and thought that, the comments from the CEO and, we don't know what really happened or how it went down, of course.
No, but they took they took the comments more literally than ever it needed to happen and perhaps was ever intended. Yeah. But you have to be careful when you say things. The other thing that I will never do, I have done it before, but I never do it. And when I find myself even dancing into this area, I stop and apologize. And that is joking about firing people.
Oh, yeah. You got to be careful.
You can't. Because even if everybody knows it's a joke, if you're the one who makes those decisions and signs people's checks, it's not a joke. Yeah. Somebody's thinking, oh, crap. Is it me? or it sets the tone, even if they're not consciously aware of it. So yeah, that's another one of those things.
Small business owners don't start out being great leaders. And
I'm still a terrible leader.
Yeah, it's a learned thing. It's
Actually,
not,
I'm a pretty good leader. I'm a terrible manager, and I still maintain that.
Yeah,
there is a difference.
There's a difference.
Yes,
and I think we're going to show about those differences.
Yeah.
And so, just take it to heart. Go read this article up at businessbrain.show and tell us your horror stories. Feedback at businessbrain.show. I'd love to, hear about it and how you turn things around. I've got some more stories I could tell, but I'll save them for another show.
Sounds good. Like he said, feedback at businessbrain.show. We definitely love to hear from you. It inspires us. It fuels us. And sometimes it's a topic for the show. Check out our sponsors, shopify.com/businessbrain, Miro.com/podcast, and keep on living that charmed life. We'll see you on Friday.